Life's a ride, we got no control. Twists and turns gonna take its toll.
It's a universe. Yes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Subject to Changes podcast. This is sort of a special edition where we're talking about a near and dear film director. I am Geno McGahee here with my good friend and co-host Eric Michaelian. Hello, Eric. How you doing?
What's up, Geno? Really excited to be doing some John Carpentry with you tonight.
This is the kind of wood I love. Speaking of wood, we'll talk about Carpenter. Break it in. What are we feeding the people today?
We're doing 3 films by a mutual loved director by the two of us. We're doing Assault on Precinct 13, They Live, and John Carpenter's Vampires.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. And you asked for it with this one, Eric, because
I did.
having They Live roped into this, it gives me so much to talk about and love. That is for a little later in the show, but we're talking about Assault on Precinct 13, which is a cops and robbers sort of movie where like a youth crowd, gangsters or gangsters, would they be called in the 70s? Is that what you would call them?
Gang members, you know?
Gangbangers. Gangbangers
Yeah.
used to be a popular term until the porn industry hijacked it.
Oh, I know. What a loss to the English language. Let's talk about John Carpenter for a second. So John Carpenter, born in 1948 in Carthage, New York, moved to Bowling Green, Kentucky, where he said he started feeling like an outsider because he was from the North, and seeing all the Jim Crow stuff around him, it made him sort of disgusted with humanity. But he realized he wanted to be a filmmaker. He started using his father's 8mm camera and using claymation, and he realized he wanted to do that with the rest of his life. He went to college at USC, where he started making movies there. Did you know that he wrote an Oscar-winning film? He wrote The Resurrection of Bronco Billy.
I did not know
with his
that.
buddy Nick Castle, who played Michael Myers.
Wow.
He dropped
Yeah.
out. He dropped out in the last semester because he didn't want to take a language course. He
Mhm.
made Dark Star, but he considers this movie his very first real directing job, Assault on Precinct 13.
And the movie starts off pretty awesome. Like, it's obviously a John Carpenter film. The music in the film, very Carpenter-esque. And then you have that cool red font on the black background. Wasn't that a cool intro? I could have just watched the intro, the text for 2 hours.
Yeah, especially with that really low Carpenter score, which I was kind of jamming out to, because his whole philosophy of music is it should be like wallpaper, where you don't it doesn't draw attention to itself, but it complements the room of the film, if you will. So I loved it.
Yeah, and watching this movie, I immediately thought of Death Wish, which is another film of I think it came out 2 years before Assault on Precinct 13, but it had that gritty street bad guy sort of feel to it. I watch the old Kojak shows; it kind of feels like this. I suppose it was just the 70s. If you drove far enough away from the discos, this is what you would see, don't you think?
Coming out from the 50s and the early 60s, we moved into the sort of more gritty storytelling with Midnight Cowboy and Bonnie and Clyde and all these different stories. And like the 70s was really more for the filmmakers. They had a vision, it sort of fit into this like gritty aesthetic. I actually just read William Friedkin's memoir, and he was talking about that sort of like he wanted that grit from New York City with like the French Connection, or like that sort of documentary feel, that realistic feel with The Exorcist. And like it certainly in the 70s had that like kind of urban grimy feel to it. This movie's no exception.
No, you're absolutely right. It made me think of Driller Killer just now.
Sorry I did that to you, man.
Oh, that was a great movie, by the way. Highly recommend it. Any kind of film taking place in the city is usually A-okay in my book. And this film, it starts off with the cops killing off some young gangbangers. The cops are perched above and they're shooting down. They show no mercy on these scumbag gangbangers, take them out. And that leads to, I think it's a newscast talking about the problem in LA with these gangs. And then we meet Lieutenant Bishop, who is he brand new? Because I know that he wanted to do something other than watch an empty building. What was the story with Lieutenant Bishop? Was he a new hire?
He might have been to the area. I mean, he's a lieutenant, so he obviously has some experience. He was just sort of aimlessly wandering around looking for an assignment, which he gets. He's assigned to Precinct 9, Division 13, which you'll notice assault on Precinct 13 is kind of a misnomer because he's actually on Precinct 9, but Precinct 13 sounds cooler. So yeah, he's just kind of wandering around looking for an assignment, and he has to guard this abandoned precinct, which is being closed down the very following day. So he's tasked with overseeing the closure of it.
And he gets more than he bargained for.
Oh yeah.
Now he shows up. He ends up meeting Starker. I liked Starker. I love Starker's suit. He was wearing a very, very nice, I guess it was corduroy suit. Did you like Starker's suit? Would you wear a suit like that?
No, I don't like to wear suits. I certainly wouldn't wear corduroy in and around like Southern California.
Well, I would, depending on the, I guess, time of year, because they do get chilly down there once in a while. And a corduroy suit really is for any occasion, in my opinion. Maybe
Well, I
not for
look
a
forward
funeral.
to your next corduroy tuxedo gala, man.
I want to bring it back. It should never went away. So Starker, he has 3 dangerous inmates that are they're being transferred. So you got Napoleon Wilson on death row. You got Wells, played by the amazing Tony Burton, and you got another guy no one cares about that's sick. Did you care about him? I don't even know who the hell he was. I didn't recognize him. He did barely anything in the whole film. The sick guy. What do you think?
Didn't even write his name down, so yeah, no, I didn't care.
Yeah, fuck him. So Napoleon Wilson, he's the death row guy. He apparently has done a lot of bad things. They really don't go into it too much, but obviously it was like murder of some sort. And they're kind of like sucking his knob in this film. He's a somehow he is a hero. Now what about the victims of the death? Don't you think like they played him as way too much of a good guy? Didn't give him much of an edge.
Actually, I kind of liked that about him. They always said like, "Oh, how come you murdered all those people?" You don't really know who he murdered. They never really define it. So I mean, he could have been killing off like rival gang members for all I know. I liked this sort of dichotomy of him where he's actually kind of a nice guy, but he just happens to be this like deranged killer on his way to death row.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that plays into the story, which I think if he was just like a psychopathic, like edgy killer, like it wouldn't have worked as well. And I don't think this movie would be as good without it, because it is a really good dynamic between him and Bishop, which kind of carries this movie.
Yeah, see, I like to look at him as a manipulator. He's not a good guy at all, but he likes the idea of being seen as one. He kind of plays it that way. That's kind of how, I'm not sure if that's how it was meant, but that's how I wanted it to be. Because I like the idea of this guy not actually being a scumbag, but wanting the kind of the accolades and the people to look at him in a certain way. I didn't hate the character. I thought the character was good, and I did like the idea of, hey, our backs against the wall, we got to team up no matter what. I like that. So we get Napoleon, we get Wells, we get the sick guy. The sick guy needs to be brought to a hospital, but the closest place to get him help is Precinct 9, where Bishop is. What happens then, Eric? We get everyone at 13. What's going on?
Yeah. In a parallel story, this guy is going around looking for his cleaning lady to get her to move out of the dangerous neighborhood. He goes looking for her. His daughter goes to buy an ice cream, and the gang, patrolling around looking for people to kill, shoots the like 8-year-old daughter in cold blood. And the ice cream, man, I thought that was a little excessive. The father leaves his dead daughter on the ground, chases down the gang, kills one of the leaders, and then the gang chases him to Precinct 9. And then they are besieged by this. It's like an army. There's like 100 of these gang members. They surround the police station and they just start shooting at it. They shoot and shoot and shoot into the police station. And after a while, it starts getting really comical. And I want to say John Carpenter meant for it to be funny, because like they're just shooting and papers are flying, and then they stop for a little bit and they fire another bullet and papers go flying, or a window gets broken. Like, I thought it was actually pretty funny how much they were shooting and the way they spaced the shooting out. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was pretty like cartoony the way that the violence was put out, the back and forth. The girl getting killed, you don't see that very often. It's very rare that a film has the guts to kill a kid like that, and it's always impactful. I'm like, the only other one I can think of off the top of my head is Funny Games, which was equally or more shocking. And I got the feeling that the ice cream man may have been like a former gang member or maybe witness protection, because he was very paranoid from the beginning and he had a gun. So I think maybe they were looking for him. Maybe he was a former rival gang member. I don't know. But I got the feeling he was more than just an ice cream. What do you think?
I didn't get that feeling. I thought that the ice cream man having a gun was just more indicative of, oh, we're in a dangerous neighborhood and like I'm selling ice cream in the, scary place. So everybody's packing. Yeah, that's how I took it. I know in movies there's a popular trope of like gang members just going around to like just randomly kill people. Like in that movie Death Sentence. Did you ever see that one with Kevin Bacon?
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Good movie.
in order to make their stripes, like they have to murder somebody. I don't know why that's that's an initiation tactic, because most likely those people are going to go to jail.
Well,
Yeah.
the Iceman Kuklinski did that. That's how he got his
Yeah.
entry into the mob. So apparently, it is a popular thing. Hey, go kill some random guy, and you're one of us. Yeah,
Yeah.
that seems a little bit much. I don't even like the thing where they like beat you up to become a member. I think that's a little much too. There has to be a happy medium, I would think. So we got the two girls at the police station. One of them looks pretty familiar. Eric, where do you know her from?
Halloween 3 and
Yes.
Halloween.
Yes.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
Nancy Keys.
You know what? I thought Bishop's black joke was pretty funny. What did you think?
Yeah.
I,
I thought that was hilarious. Bishop's a black man, and he goes something about like, how do you take your coffee? And she's like, black? He's like, black for over 30 years or something. It's like, all right.
yeah, I like that office banter. He fit right in with them. You could tell right away he's gonna be a fun guy to work with, not a ball buster like the other guy. I think he was
Yeah.
like the
There's some
captain
pretty
or
good lines in here.
there are.
There's one that Napoleon has where he says, "Days are like women, precious, and they always end up leaving." I was like, all right, that was pretty good.
It was written well, and the characters are good. And I was kind of upset Tony Burton didn't scream no in slow motion in this one. I guess it had to wait till Rocky, but I could have gone with a couple of those as the gunfire's happening. What do you think?
He was really good in this too. He's just a guy who is, what do you keep saying? If I didn't have bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. But
That's right.
he gets his little heroic moment because at one point they try to escape through a sewer, get to a car and take off, but
Doesn't go well.
Bill Duke, he's killed. Oh, he had like a little heroic moment. Him, Napoleon. The prisoners in here are treated pretty well. It's because of the outside gang who doesn't seem to have any real motivation other than just like kill everyone in this thing. They kind of just become like zombies after a while.
And that's how I looked at this film. It was basically if you took Night of the Living Dead and threw it into cities and turned the zombies into gang members, we'd have this. And I'm wondering if it was an inspiration to Carpenter going into this, because it was a very similar film structurally to Night of the Living Dead.
It was.
And I did like how Julie, she had a plan, and it's not a bad plan. Take the guy who lost a daughter and throw him out to the gang members. They want him, and they'll let us go if we get rid of him. I'd be up for that. The guy shows up, he's freaking in the corner, all making weird faces and not saying shit. Who wants to hang out with a guy like that anyway?
Yeah, he like comes in and passes out. Like he's not in the rest of the movie. He's just kind of there. I thought that was a really nice moment with Bishop where he's just like, nope, we're not going to do that. Like there was no question about he cannot send an innocent man out to be executed. That's honorable.
Bishop is an honorable man across the board. I forget what the actor's name is, but he played it so well. Like immediately, he didn't even have to say anything. Just him driving in the beginning, I said to myself, that looks like an honorable man. And I was right. He actually had that aura from jump.
His actor's name is Austin Stoker.
Stone Cold Austin Stoker. You gotta love it. Basically, you have the criminals and the cops, and they're fighting off the gangbangers. We get kind of like a friendship brewing between Bishop and Napoleon. I'm not surprised. They are saving each other's ass. That can make fast friends.
They seem pretty easy to trust each other, but I guess you would kind of have to in a situation like that. Mutual respect out of great adversity. I loved their relationship because they become like buddy-buddy at the end.
The good thing about Carpenter here, and in most of his films, is there are complexities to the character. Like Napoleon isn't just a bad guy. He has other attributes and he has that good side we spoke of earlier. Not everything is cut and dry. So I kind of like that. I also like how a bad guy can do good things, and the fact that Bishop didn't judge him. Basically just took him for what he knew of him. I will say, the Napoleon, I thought he was a little too smooth. I don't know what it was about the portrayal of the character, Eric. I know you really liked him. I didn't think he was bad, but I didn't think he was great. There was something about the character where I thought maybe another actor may have pulled off a little more grit. It just seemed too smooth. What do you think?
I kind of liked it. He was a bit stoic, but also you can see how a guy like this would get into trouble a lot. He and one of the girls were flirting around, and she was kind of falling for it. You're like, oh yeah, this dude is trouble. And I can see it. You can kind of see where his dangerous edge is, but he's like a nice guy. I like characters like that where you don't necessarily know what he did or what his backstory is or whatever. But you're just like, oh yeah, this dude's trouble. You do not want to be on this guy's bad side.
I wonder what he did. I wonder if Carpenter ever said what he did in any interviews or whatever, or if he just leaves it wide open.
Don't know.
But I don't know either.
So they wind up trying to get out through the basement and where Wells is killed, and then they get the idea to sort of bottleneck themselves in these cells, and they're going to blow up an acetylene torch as soon as the gang members start coming through the hallway. The gang members make their way in, they beat them off with sticks and stuff like that, and then finally they blow up the hallway and kill all the gang members, basically. Like, that was it.
Yeah.
All right. Threat neutralized.
It was a good idea.
Yeah, it was a great idea. That's basically the end of the movie. Bishop and Napoleon are friends. The cavalry finally shows up, and they're like, all right, let's take Napoleon away because he's still on death row. But yeah, Bishop's like, no, don't put cuffs on him. Let him walk out on his own. I think that's another thing is, like, it seems like Napoleon is very accepting of what he's done, knows that he kind of has to be punished for it. And so he doesn't try to escape. He doesn't try to, like, take a hostage or anything like that. It's just like a guy who knows what's going to happen to him, accepts it, but it still fights for himself and the people around him. Interesting fucking character.
You know what? That's a good point. He had opportunities to leave, to turn the gun on Bishop, to take Leah hostage and run out the door, and he didn't. He's resolved in the fact that he did commit a crime and he's going to pay for it. But now he's got Bishop to be a character witness, to say, hey, don't kill my buddy. Look what he did. So maybe he'll just get life. You did miss one thing at the end. That guy, the quiet guy, he's lying on the stretcher as everything's getting cleaned up, and he looks over at Bishop, and it looked like he had an orgasm. Very weird. I'm not sure if he did. I'm not sure.
I somehow missed that.
Yeah, I was like,
maybe I was taking notes. Oh,
well,
Jesus.
Yeah, at the end, he was on the stretcher. They're getting ready to cart him away. He looks over to Bishop like he's going to say something, but he just has his mouth open and his eyes, the bedroom eyes going, and they cart him away. And I'm like, well, that was kind of odd. Maybe he was just happy. Maybe he was horny. Who knows?
Yeah, on the day his daughter was gunned down. Yeah.
Hey, you know what happened? But you know what happened, Eric, is he saw his daughter gunned down, terrible. Saw the ice cream man gunned down, terrible. But then he saw all these other people dying, like Cheney, the guard, Wells, and all these gang members dying. Eventually, he got desensitized to all of it. Then he had his orgasm. Makes perfect sense. My hat's off to you, Mr. Carpenter.
I don't ever want to be stuck in a foxhole with you. Eric, I've become desensitized. Get ready.
It would all depend on whatever, I suppose.
What did you think of Assault on Precinct 13?
I liked it. I won't say I loved it. I felt like a Carpenter film, and that already is a great thing. Lieutenant Bishop, loved him, thought he was great. It had its ups and downs. I kind of thought the little girl getting killed, and I thought that guy was going to play more of a main character. I kind of thought that wasn't flushed out enough. But overall, I give it high marks. I would recommend it. Not Carpenter's best, but certainly being his first film, he hit the ground running. What do you think, Eric?
This was great. Very simple, very low budget. It's got an easy plot to understand. It's got fun characters to interact with. It is basically like what I think every independent filmmaker aspires to for their first movie. It's got scope. It's got interesting, fun things that you'll remember. I'll always remember the little girl with the ice cream cone getting gunned down. And it shows like the potential that this guy has. And I even noticed like the camera work in this is really fucking good.
I agree.
Good camera work like kind of calls attention to itself. You're just like, okay, oh yeah, that was pretty decent. That was pretty cool. But like great camera work, you don't even notice how good it is. That's what I think about most of John Carpenter's cinematography is like you don't notice how good the camera work is because it doesn't really call attention to itself. But like this was a great start to an amazing career. It's also the start of John Carpenter having a Western motif in almost all of his movies.
We go into one of my favorite John Carpenter movies, They Live, featuring pro wrestler Roddy Piper. And we just came off a pro wrestling podcast with the Hulkster, who also made wrestling movies. So this is pretty good. We got twice to treat, don't we?
And I would venture to say this is probably the best of the wrestler movies. Can you name a wrestler movie that's better than They Live? Predator doesn't count.
No. As a main star, like The Rock has had some good movies, but nothing like They Live. I would contend. I even liked John Cena in The Marine. I thought that was pretty good, but nothing on They Live. Brought up that Vern Gagne movie last time. That can't compare. Vern Gagne, he shouldn't have had a shirt off. Roddy Piper could get away with it here. So tell us about They Live. What is it about? What's the synopsis? And get ready, because I know I'm going to talk a lot this film.
So They Live is about John Nada, who's a homeless man wandering around Los Angeles looking for work, to unemployment offices where they say there's no work. Banks are closing. He finds work at a construction site, which is near a homeless encampment, where he meets all of these different people in similar situations as him. And he also meets Keith David, who plays Frank.
Love Keith David.
Oh, God, he's one of my favorite actors. I can't believe it took me so long to realize just how good he is and has been good his entire career.
Totally.
They become friends. Keith David has a family back in Detroit that he's trying to earn money to send back to them because basically the whole country financially is fucked right now, or at least from their perspective. Automakers are like giving themselves bonuses and they're getting bailouts from the government. You start seeing this juxtaposition of the haves and the have-nots. There always seems to be in the background a television either playing commercials or like insipid soap opera type thing. It plays into this like whole motif. They are surrounded by this world of elites. They're just trying to struggle and survive. Like, it's so fucking fascinating. What did you think about the opening of this film, where the characters were and how the like homeless people were portrayed in it?
They were portrayed realistically for the time. There's something to be said for the down and out Nada in this, Buck Flower, who was another of the homeless people, then that family that was there watching the TV. These are just people that weren't making enough and there wasn't enough resources for them to get a roof over their head or a substantial roof over their head. Now, where we see just the drug epidemic with the trank and the fentanyl and all that shit being way more prevalent. So I think they were portrayed rather well. And I think also the frustration of people that want to work, but what's open to them either doesn't pay enough or is just not there. So I love the beginning. I love the music in the beginning, and Roddy Piper does it very well. This kind of proves the right director can take a mediocrity and make them great. I've seen Piper in other stuff, other acting roles, and he's nothing like this. John Carpenter gets another feather in his cap for the direction of this film. What do you think, Eric? What do you think of Piper's performance?
I thought it was really good. They really played into a lot of his strengths, and John Carpenter is a lot of the time very subdued director. He doesn't like to be showy and he doesn't like to be over the top, like unless he's making a comedy. He really took Piper and like pulled him down and made him into like a real person, whereas like a lot of wrestlers feel like they have to be over the top, like Hulk fucking Hogan.
Oh yeah.
John Carpenter really knows how to work with actors, and he never gets the credit he deserves for that. He can direct some really great performances, and Roddy Piper's no exception. Roddy Piper does really good. I love the conversation between him and Keith David where he's talking about like, hey, look, I follow the rules, okay? Everybody's got an opportunity. Keith David is a heavy hitting actor.
He is.
And he and Piper, like, they held it up together. I mean, you could kind of see where Keith was carrying him a little bit, but like, it's his first fucking movie, you know. He did a
Yeah,
great job for it being his first movie, especially against someone like Keith David.
and especially the amount of work he had in this. He had to go through different emotions. The whole talk about his dad in the when he's in the hotel room, the conversation about just trying to do well, and when he gets caught up in the church, when he finds the glasses and stuff, when the preacher grabs him. This was some good stuff by Piper. I thought he really did well. And like you said, going against Keith David is not an easy first assignment.
Absolutely. So Roddy Piper starts seeing the people running the homeless encampment like go into this church across the street. He follows them in there and he realizes that like the chorus singing that's going on in there is like pre-recorded and they're actually plotting something, but he doesn't know what. And he finds like a pair of like sunglasses in there, but he almost gets caught and he like puts it away and then like takes off. And that night in this
Yes.
like really fucked up scene, the police come with bulldozers and with riot gear and they start throwing flares everywhere and they just kick the shit out of the homeless people. And
Yes.
there's a blind preacher spreading basically the gospel of what we find out later to be aliens. They beat this poor guy. Oh, it was really disturbing. Like I've seen this movie before, but I was just like putting things in context. I'm like, that is really disturbing how they just like beat this blind preacher like that.
In the defense of the boys in blue, the preacher was swinging at them first, and they may not have known he was blind. All they know is that this guy has a stick and he's swinging it like crazy. He's trying to knock their dick in the dirt. Yes, the cops were a little bit excessive, but had the preacher dropped his cane and said, "Hey, you want me out of here? I'll leave." I don't think the cops would have beat his ass so badly. I don't think
Oh,
so.
well, I think that's the point. The whole point was they were coming in and getting all the rabble rousers, beating them down and killing them, really, because I mean, these guys are the aliens, right? Like
Yeah.
these are the fascist aliens, and they beat down all the people, and they basically kill them.
Well, I
You
think
don't see him. You don't see him ever again.
no, you don't. So
So
yeah,
you assume that they beat this guy to death. Well, we'll pick up the plot later, but like, yeah, I mean, they just come in and just like bulldoze this homeless encampment. It was like really, like a really disturbing scene, especially because these people are all portrayed as just like down in their luck, and
yeah,
they're not really bothering anybody. It was really fucked up. And
and
I
that
listened to the commentary, and Piper was like hiding with this other boy from the cops. And he's like holding him, and Piper was like, "Yeah, I mean, he's been in situations like that." And John Carpenter's like, "Yeah, a lot of people have."
oh yeah, there really isn't any place legally where you can just set up a tent and live there infinitely. And so I could see like the people in the penthouses saying, "Get rid of that fucking eyesore," and the cops having no choice. But I also see that maybe there was the whole thing of the aliens that run the show knows a cell of resistance there, and it's time just to wipe them all
Mhm.
out. And that makes sense, because the preacher didn't hide it. That beginning speech from the preacher is so iconic. Look around. They're all about us, all around us. That is badass. It sets the tone. Like this film has such a real intense vibe from start to finish. It never lets up and it's very subtle, but it's certainly apparent.
It's certainly Carpenter's most political movie. Without going into a lot of the things he's talking about and is like, stopping, breaking things down and saying like, this is what this is about. I fucking hate that. No matter the politics of the movie, even if I agree with it, I'm like, don't just sit there and lecture me for 2 hours. Like, just
Yep.
show me what you're talking about. Like, show, don't tell. And this is also a very angry movie. You could just kind of see Carpenter's anger and rage on screen. That makes it very emotional. Also, really very sad. Roddy Piper finds some glasses and he puts them on. And Geno, you want to tell him what happens?
Well, what's cool is he has these glasses, he puts them on, and suddenly everything changes. Banners and posters, they start to say things like obey and conform. This is like rather awesome because about 25 years ago, I knew nothing of subliminal advertising. It's still everywhere. And so to see like nod to it, which I think it was a nod to it, of how the money men, the elitists, the whatever you want to call them that run the show, use advertising to manipulate thought and to keep people where they want them. Piper or Nada ends up walking. He goes to a newsstand, starts looking through the magazine, and he sees all this stuff about obey and conform and have babies or whatever it was saying. And then he looks up and there's another guy there, but the guy's not a guy. He's a fucking like skeletal alien guy. I remember the first time seeing this movie, that scene, I'm like, holy crap, what am I watching? How epic was that scene when you first get to see an alien, Eric?
That is so good. The whole scene of when they exchange money and like on the money is actually written like this is your god. All the obey signs, marry and reproduce, consume, and then you see the aliens everywhere. And this is great acting by Piper.
It is.
Where he's just putting things together, trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. And then he finally has that great line where he's like, yeah, it figures it'd be something like this.
Oh my God. When the politician was up there and just doing what politicians do, oh, this is a change for us. Everything's going to be good. Just his expression. Things are starting to click in his head. Why everything's fucked up, why the world is the way it is, and it's on display. Then we get the woman who is also an alien. Piper just says what's on his mind, where he's like, this woman right here is okay. You're real fucking ugly. He falls down.
Calls her formaldehyde face.
Formaldehyde face. And Piper was clumsy in this. He fell down a bunch of times in this movie. But I loved the line, we've got one that can see. How cool is that when the woman goes to her watch and then all of a sudden all the aliens are coming at them? I thought that was so badass. And Piper backing out of the convenience store was awesome. That convenience store scene was awesome.
Terrific. Well done. Like that's a Carpenter scene right there. It was so good. And the reveal of everything, the magazine covers and the food labels and all this shit, it was just like so well done. It's in black and white. It's just one of those like really iconic movie scenes. At least to me it is. One of those scenes that's like burned into my brain. That and when he goes to the bank.
But before he goes to the bank, he meets the two cops, and the two cops pull up and they're like, hey, you stumbled across something here maybe we can all benefit from. And this is something that I really enjoy about the film, of how Carpenter sees humanity. And I think Carpenter is one of the few writers that I would compare to Rod Serling, of just understanding how we tick. Because some people would take the deal, other people would want to do what's right. They offer Piper basically a sweetheart deal. Hey, you come with us, we take care of you. We can forget this whole misunderstanding. And Piper ends up killing the two fucking cops. We got more dead cops in the second Carpenter movie.
John Carpenter hates authority.
He does.
So, not a fan of cops, dude.
Yeah.
Just
well,
like,
he throws in a nice one every once in a while, like that bald guy, the one that ran up on Piper, and Piper says, beat your feet. And the guy takes off.
Oh, yeah.
That was the bishop of the film, I think. The one good cop. But Carpenter's got a point.
I like that the Piper clotheslined the cop, too. That was good. So he steals the cop's guns and then goes to a bank. What is probably the most famous scene from the movie, wouldn't you say?
It definitely is. It has the iconic line, which was Piper's. Piper came to Carpenter with a list of things that he used for pro wrestling. So he walked in, I came here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum. Fucking hilarious. And he ends up shooting everyone that is an alien. And I thought the alien getting his head blown off, unbelievably cool. That was done so well. Even though it was black and white, and even though the alien mask, if you look at them really close, they're not the best in the world. But cool shit. He just lets loose. He kills, what, 10 people?
Oh, yeah, he kills a whole bunch of them. That's how you kind of get away with an R rating, is like, that's a really violent scene, but it's all in black and white, so you don't see the red of the blood, which is what usually gets people dinged in the first place by the MPAA. Smart man, John Carpenter.
Yeah, and so this film really is cool, and it's different. You mentioned there's the political undertones, that there's the basic idea that he's trying to say something much the way he did in Halloween 3, and the V, which isn't his, but it's another one where we're calling out the elite, whatever you want to call them. And I like that. I like that shit. And I'm jumping ahead a little bit. But when Buck Flower, the former homeless guy, he takes the deal, he tells them, hey, they're the elite. They're running the whole show. What did you think of Buck Flower, and what is your favorite Buck Flower movie?
It's hard to beat Back to the Future. Buck Flower he made a career off of playing the bum. The dude can act. He's got levels and layers. I really liked his. Remember Village of the Damned? I loved his
Yes.
scene in Village of the Damned where he's like screaming at the kids, and then they make him walk up a ladder backwards holding a broom.
Yes.
and,
Yes.
he has to fall forward on it. Yeah, I'll always remember that scene forever. Buck Flowers, for people that don't know, is the guy who played Red the Bum in Back to the Future, in all of Back to the Future. I mean, it's hard to beat that because everybody knows Red, you know?
I think I can beat it.
Okay.
Have you ever seen Cheerleader Camp?
No.
Okay, Buck Flower plays a landskeeper, groundskeeper, and he's watching the cheerleaders dance, and he goes, "You see that girl over there? She'll make your pee-pee harder than a 10-pound bag of nickel jawbreakers." Then, as he's saying that, this enormous fat guy falls on him from on stage, and he goes, "I hope you die." Great Buck Flower movie. I highly recommend it. It's hilarious. Not scary.
Harder than 10-cent jawbreakers?
Yeah, make your pee-pee harder
Say that
than
line one more time.
All right. He said, "See that girl over there? She'll make your pee-pee harder than a 10-pound bag of nickel jawbreakers." That's what he says.
Oh, I hate that so much.
What? It said perfectly. And on top of that, he licks his lips right afterwards. It's wonderful. It's
Buck. Oh, Buck. Come
Buck.
on, man.
Oh, you got to give it a shot. It's awesome. When the fat guy falls on him, he goes,
Keep both hands on the table, Geno.
"He's a great bum. He's a better pervert." That's my point.
What did you think of the line? I like this line. So an alien's like is reporting that Roddy Piper shot him in the bank, and then Piper points a gun on him and goes, "Mama don't like tattletales."
Yeah, it's classic Piper. Like I think Carpenter knew enough to say, "I'm gonna have control in some areas, but I'm gonna let Piper be Piper as well."
Mhm.
It worked out nice because it led to this great balance of Piper's outlandishness, but in a very controlled way. Yeah, I liked it. I thought Piper had a lot of zingers, if you would, in this.
Yeah, Piper goes into a garage and kidnaps a woman named Holly, who just happens to work at the TV station where the rebellion says the main signal for the aliens is coming from. So they go back to her house, and he's like falling asleep or something, and then she clocks him in the head with something like a glass or something.
It was a champagne bottle.
And he falls out the fucking window. What cheap ass glass company put that window in? Because he just goes right through it.
He does.
Like, God forbid you trip on the carpet.
Well, he's pretty beefy though. I mean, that's a lot of man going at that window.
Yeah, he's pretty jacked. He falls basically down the Hollywood Hills,
Uh-huh.
and then he goes to see Frank again, who doesn't want to do anything. He doesn't want anything to do with it. He just wants to make his money and get the fuck out. But Frank tries to give Nada a week's pay to just like leave him the fuck alone. Oh, dude, did you see this? Frank is giving Nada a week's pay or something like that.
Yep.
And he like throws the money at him, and he's like holding a box. Like,
It
Piper's
landed
holding
right
a
in the box.
Yeah. If I was Keith David, the hardest acting I would have had to done is not like bust out like with a huge smile being like, "Look how fucking awesome I am."
What proves my point. He can do no wrong. Keith David can do no wrong. That man is amazing.
And then Nada tries to get him to put on the sunglasses to see the aliens. Then they just start wailing on each other.
They do, and it's not the chew bubblegum line. The fight scene is the most talked about scene in the film. It's a long fight scene. It's a drawn out fight scene. I think Piper choreographed it. It's really awesome to watch the back and forth, and also watch like how Keith is kind of fighting relatively cleanly until Piper tries to low blow him, and then his gloves are off.
Oh yeah.
Keith just nails him in the nuts like 5 straight times to say, "Hey, I'm gonna fucking crack your nuts, pal." And
like Nada tries to kick him. He's just like, "You dirty motherfucker." Acting wise, this is one of those things where like there's this game in acting it's called please no. One actor has to say please to the other actor, and the other actor has to say no, and you have to do it in different sorts of ways and like try to get the person to say yes eventually. But this is like exactly what that whole exercise is about. Piper wants Keith David to put the glasses on. Keith David doesn't want to put the glasses on, and they fight for like, oh god, it's going on for like 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Which doesn't sound like a lot, but in a movie, 7 or 8 minutes is forever.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger could kill 500 people in that amount of time.
Oh, he did. And so like there's 2 suplexes they throw in there, and then Piper gets really upset and tries to hit him with like a board or something. And this is
Yes.
my favorite moment. He
Mine
tries to
too.
hit Keith David with a board because he got so angry. He misses and shatters a windshield, and then Piper like drops it and goes, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry." And then Keith David's just like, "You motherfucker!" And then they start fighting.
Well, the fact that
Like-
Keith David went to break the beer bottle and it smashed everywhere, and then Piper started laughing because it's just so absurd, the whole situation. That moment in that fight scene, you're so right, is the best part of the fight scene because it shows like there is some budding friendship between the two. Yeah, I
Mhm.
like that.
So then eventually Piper wins the struggle and forces sunglasses on Keith David, who now sees the aliens, and they buddy up and go to a hotel together. Piper tells a story about his father who, did you catch the Power and Glory reference?
No, I missed that.
Yeah, he's just like, my dad was always talking about the power and the glory. I was like, I
Yes.
wonder if Geno catches that.
That's right.
But then his father got really mad at him and tried to like cut his throat. That really sets up that Nada has a problem with authority figures and people in positions of power, which I think tell the whole story as to why he does everything he does. It's very subtle. It's very subtle. You're just like, oh, that's why he's continuing on this crusade and not selling out, because he doesn't like authority figures.
Yes, I totally agree with you. And I think Carpenter himself had to have gone through some very difficult shit to be able to create this relatable stuff. He probably dealt with asshole cops struggling financially, and it all comes through his work. And this is a great example, a little bit off, not really off topic, but Kurt Russell was initially the pick for this role. But as much as I love Kurt, this is a Piper role, man. I'm not sure if Kurt would have been as iconic in this film. What do you think?
I think he would have done a great job, but I think with the string of movies that he and Carpenter did, they're a great team and great collaborators. Like, but sometimes you need something different. This is a different kind of movie than the previous ones, and I think that really shows by casting Piper. And it's a very different tone. It's a very different feel for Carpenter, and it's probably why he wanted to go with somebody else.
And it was a good choice. I know he saw Piper in WrestleMania 3 and just said, that's the guy. He was right. This is a great role, and this is also a great film if you're a fan of flannel. There was a lot of flannel shirts in this movie.
Yeah, that's what poor people wear, right?
And they also carry backpacks. And they work without their their flannel shirt on if they want to show off their muscles. And Piper got himself in very good shape for this movie. Not an ounce of fat on him.
No, it was very slim. There was even a thing that people were saying they superimposed Piper's face on someone else's body.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, he's a professional wrestler, guys. If you get a chance, listen to the commentary of this movie. It's so interesting.
Yeah, I own the Blu-ray, so I definitely will check. Now they're in the hotel, and one of the guys from the homeless shelter who makes the glasses, who's involved with the whole machine that's fighting against the elite, tracks them down and recruits them to be part of it. So they go to this meeting and they learn that now they have contacts instead of the sunglasses. They have all these weapons. They have this battle plan to broadcast it. And then Holly shows up, and then the police show up again. Now, when you first saw this, did you know Holly was part of it?
Yeah, it's very similar to Halloween 3 when he loses track of Gumbridge. I forget the lady's name. When he loses track of her, and then she comes back and she winds up, spoiler alert, is a robot. And I'm just like, so anytime someone leaves and comes back, I'm like, oh, they're fucking evil. I know it. Because there was no drama to her coming back. She just kind of steps into the meeting and she's like, oh, I'm here. And I'm like, oh, you evil asshole.
Yeah.
See right through you.
Carpenter did something very smart in that scene when she first meets Piper and smashes a champagne bottle over his head and he flies out. And the end of the scene is her standing there looking out the window on the phone, calling the cops, and then she looks down and the glasses are sitting right on the floor. So the assumption is when she shows up here, she's put on the glasses, she realizes he was right, and now she's joining the force. But it's not that at all. She's a liar, and she's one of them. And not even one of them. She's like a sympathizer. She's one of the people on the take. Anyone that has those beautiful blue eyes like that, there has to be something wrong with them. Can you name another actor or actress that has those beautiful baby blues?
Eric Michaelian.
Really? I would make him like I'd make him maybe in my top 5, but no, definitely not.
Harrison Ford?
Oh yeah, he's got beautiful baby blue eyes. You can just get lost in them.
Cillian Murphy, Mel Gibson. There's lots of blue-eyed actors that I did. Well, okay, I wouldn't trust Mel Gibson to like babysit my kids or anything, but he's fine, I guess.
He seems like a nice gentleman that you just lock up the liquor cabinet. He'll be fine. Yeah. So
So yeah, the police raid and they wind up killing everybody all over again. Again, so sad. Did you ever read was it 1984?
yes, oh my God, yes.
Oh, when you find out that like they've manufactured like a resistance just to
Mhm.
weed out people who would betray them. That's the kind of feel that this had, was just like there is no hope like at all. And that's Carpenter again, just very angry, very nihilistic that there's just no hope for these people
Oh yeah.
except for Rowdy Piper and Keith David. They teleport with one of the watches back to, I want to say it's LA Underground or something. They're holding giant banquets and stuff. Did you catch the line where they said like by the year 2025,
20, yes.
the planet will be under the Alliance completely?
Yes.
I thought that was cool.
I thought it was cool too, and I think even though this is sci-fi, Carpenter is saying a lot here because he's in the mix. Like he's an outsider coming into the mix. I mean, as an independent filmmaker, you would think if you're going from nothingness to now you're involved in Hollywood, in the sewer that is Hollywood, and you're seeing all the backroom deals and all that garbage. The Weinstein stuff. This is basically translated into a film that the money men are running the show. They're doing what they want to do. And guess what? They don't give a fuck about the little guy. Unfortunately, a story that just keeps repeating itself. But Carpenter captures it well. And what do they call him? The cockeyed optimist. I'm not sure where the cockeyed comes from, but I like that saying. Piper is the hope that good can conquer evil, and I like that. I like when there's hope. I like to think there's hope. Did you enjoy that? And did you enjoy the depiction of what Carpenter saw as the social elite?
Yeah, because I mean that's pretty much how you imagine these things happening. It's just like a bunch of rich assholes sitting around talking to each other about profits and margins. We can get our numbers up, and like I mean we can get into all that at the at the end, because I have a lot to say about what was going on in the 80s. Piper and Keith David grab some guns and they just start fucking gunning everybody down. Did you enjoy the shootout? Because it just seemed like they were walking and gunning, you know?
Loved it. Love that.
Yeah.
I also love the Buck Flower. You don't get it. They run the whole show. Great dialogue, delivered incredibly well. And yeah, but the run and gun through the TV studio. They find Holly. They're gonna go up and they're gonna knock out the satellite. And then Holly shows her true colors and breaks my heart when she kills poor Keith David. That was terrible.
To me, it's always a trope, like when people don't see their own death coming,
Yep.
like because he was completely caught unaware. He wasn't looking. She like basically shot him like in the side of the head, and he had no idea what was going on.
Yep.
That always disturbs me when people just they don't see it coming and it just happens out of nowhere, you know?
Yeah.
Nada finally he makes his way up to the satellite link and he's gonna blow it up to basically kill the signal that is the subliminal messaging that's being sent out, and so everybody will see the world for what it actually is. And just as he's about to do it, Holly shoots the motherfucker in the back.
Yeah. Amazing.
But before he dies, he shoots Holly and then destroys the signal. And now the whole world sees the aliens for what they are.
It's an awesome ending. The sad thing is this machine would probably convince people they were seeing things. As much as I want to believe that Roddy Piper's death would lead a resistance, we're unfortunately in a world where people won't believe their lying eyes. But great ending, great fucking movie.
Were you offended by the way that they portrayed like one of your heroes? The way that this movie treated Siskel and Ebert, and they were saying John Carpenter and Toby Hooper need to tone down the sex and violence in their movies. Like, did that offend you personally? Because I know Roger Ebert was one of your heroes.
That fat slob. you know, no, Siskel and Ebert. Although I do enjoy their show, I think their show was very entertaining. They did try to shit on anything that was fun. I applaud Godzilla, the 1998 movie with Matthew Broderick, for spoofing them in the right way. Fuck them, they suck, but also they don't suck too much because I enjoy their show, and they didn't really do any damage. They were just negative Nellies.
I liked that the aliens are Siskel and Ebert, and they're just like, you know, they really shouldn't have sex and violence in their movies. And then I'm just like, there was no sex in this movie. But then the very next scene is a woman having sex with a guy. The signal turns off. She sees him for the alien, and it's just like, bam, done. Like that's the last shot of the movie.
That was
That's
awesome.
like Carpenter, you subversive asshole.
Well, and it has to suck to
Oh,
be like a writer and director like Carpenter and make something like this clever and then have people shit on it and just lump it in with the mindless slasher films. Although I love mindless slasher films, but
I know you do.
Carpenter is a class above and he should be treated as such. They Live in 3 hours or less, Eric. What do you think?
This movie is incredible. It's not his best movie. It's not even his most well made or well written movie. What it says and how we're still dealing with all the shit in this movie today, and like
Mm-hmm.
nothing has changed basically.
Yep.
Like the erasure of the poor, the way that people with authority treat people without any power is really disgusting. You can see the seething hatred that John Carpenter had for Reagan and like the yuppie culture of the 80s and the
Yep.
Gordon Gekko greed is good. Those fucking suit and tie Wall Street types. You can see him seething like on the screen. But it's never not entertaining and it's never not poignant. They do sort of go off into these different things about what's going on in the world, about the auto companies and banks and all this shit. It's delivered by Keith David, who can read a food menu to you and you're just like, here's your Oscar, sir. But
Yeah.
it never feels lecturing. It never feels overly pedantic. This is a guy who has a vision and he hates capitalism and just like what it does to people and what it makes other people do to people. And we've all felt that way. Like we've all felt like we're drones and we're
Mm-hmm.
all pawns in this like huge money game that we're not even really playing. We're doing penny stocks while people
Yep.
are making billions and billions of dollars off us. We've all felt that kind of powerlessness. Obviously, I don't agree with going around just killing people or unmotivated violence, but like on camera, on screen, some guy walking into a bank and just shooting up like a bunch of rich asshole elite aliens. Fuck
Yep.
yeah, man. Feels so good to see someone take power back. And while I don't agree in real life with the method, I think in a movie, I'm like, yeah, fuck it, go to town. Just like blow his fucking head off, like,
Yep. Oh yeah.
and that's what movies do for you. They let you live out like power fantasies or fear or love or laughing, crying, whatever. Like that's what movies are for. And John Carpenter knows that. And that is why this movie it's great. It's like I said, it's not his best, but like it's a great fucking movie, especially if like you just hate
Yep.
yuppie scum.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, Gino, what did you
Uh,
think of They Live?
I love They Live. I agree. It hits home for anyone that isn't super rich and part of the club. This is his take on the elite. You can call them whatever you want, bankers, Illuminati, whatever. But there is a group of people, money men that run the show. They're scumbags. If you're so
Oh, in
yeah,
handling?
yeah, they have the you have the choice of pretzel bites or popcorn, or you can get boxed candy, of course. And so I get the pretzel bites, and I usually get the larger of the bottled waters, and then I come back and I get a coffee because they have a Starbucks built in. So it's a very pleasant movie theater experience.
I'll have to fucking go up to Hadley and watch movies because down here it's just like, do you want like a musty, stale bucket of popcorn? Yes, please.
Oh, dude.
Can I have a Diet Coke? Is Pepsi okay? No, but I'll take it anyway.
Yeah. I also in Mystic they have those big comfy recliners. If you ever go to Mystic, Connecticut, and their
Oh yeah.
cinemas, and
Oh
they'll
yeah.
bring you wine
Love
if you want
Mystic.
back because it's both are such a good look on how people are manipulated and how people can be bought. The thing with this film, right, with Holly and with Buck Flower, a lot of people lose their principles when the checkbook is open. I love how that was put out there. So I love this film. He captures humanity. He captures what people would do, who the real heroes are, and so forth. Because Piper could have been wearing a tuxedo sitting with Buck Flower had he taken that Cops deal. Love this movie. Love the message. Love John Carpenter's approach. Highly recommend.
Terrific movie. And just
So,
like if you're having a bad day and you're struggling financially, put this movie on and just watch a bunch of bankers get fucking blown away.
yeah, yes, and also another thing he did too was the aliens talking to the human, and the human like, hey man, I don't know, you got the promotion, why can't it happen for me? And the alien's like, hey, you just hang in there, man. And it's inside track. everyone knows somebody. There are so many layers to this film that's so relatable. It's really an amazing piece of work, and it's one of my favorite Carpenter films. Love it, love it, love it. Every episode we give you a 2-minute movie review. We don't hold you 2 minutes, but we do enjoy whatever you bring us. You enlighten us. You open our eyes. You have a whole showcase of films that we may have never seen, or maybe we finally see them through your eyes. Eric, what do you got for us?
I got to see Mission Impossible. That was dope. Go see it in the theaters. It runs a little bit long. It's a little bit self-aggrandizing, but it's a great movie to watch in theaters. I watched a movie on Shudder called Attachment, directed by Gabriel Bear Gislason. Something. This woman meets this very nice girl, but she's got something wrong with her. After she breaks her leg, she goes with her back to her mom's house in London to be taken care of, and some weird shit starts going down. It's really atmospheric. Not all the performances are terrific, but it's a really interesting story. Highly recommend it. And this movie randomly popped into my head. It's called The Invitation. It's by Karen Kusama. It's from 2015. It's about a guy who gets invited to like sort of a swank dinner party at his ex-wife's house with her new beau, and some weird shit starts happening, and things get really crazy. It's a great movie. I think it's on Netflix. But I just remember walking away from it being like, holy fuck, like what the fuck did I just watch? Great movie. Totally recommend.
I vaguely remember
Invitation.
I vaguely remember that one. I saw it a long time ago, and I may want to revisit it because I remember liking it. Well, thank you, Eric. Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise. You can't go wrong with Tom Cruise. Outside of that one with Cameron Diaz, that was like 3 hours long. Night and day. That stunk. That sucked fucking donkey balls. But other than that, Cruise Control all the way, baby.
Great movie star, and oh god, you'll be thrilled even if it takes a little while to get there. You're gonna have a good time in the cinema no matter what. So get a big thing of popcorn and just fucking go to town on it. I'm always one of those people that eats the popcorn like before the first act of the movie is over, and I'm like, oh.
I get the
I
pretzel
don't know how
bites.
to pace myself.
I get the pretzel bites with the cheddar cheese. I like those.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's really good stuff.
All
I
right,
usually
where
get
do you-
those. Oh, I get those in Hadley. Okay, so John Carpenter. The next film we're going to be speaking of, Eric, is John Carpenter's Vampires. What can you tell us about John Carpenter's Vampires, and why do you throw his name on it?
Because he made it. It's because this was the movie that he was really excited about. John Carpenter, he had this like amazing trajectory from the mid to late 70s. Assault on Precinct 13 did well. Halloween was huge. The Fog did really well. The movies that he put, like Halloween 2 did well. Halloween 3 not so much. The Thing bombed, but you saw the talent on that. And so he was hit or miss. Big Trouble in Little China, not so much. They Live was a hit.
Yes.
But then in the 90s, he started getting into director for hire kind of shit. So he did the Memoirs of an Invisible Man,
Was it the
Village
Mars
of the
movie?
Damned.
Yeah, Village of the Damned.
Oh god. Ugh. He said doing this movie was the thing that got him to fall back in love with filmmaking, because he was dealing with corporate studio systems and other people's money, and they made all these changes and he had to deal with difficult actors. But this was the movie that he said made him fall in love all over again. So he put his name right at the fucking top and was like, I am proud of this film.
Yeah, and he had a point to be made too. Like in the film, when James Woods is talking about what vampires are, that they're not these romantic Euro trash guys. Obviously, he had a point to make about the character themselves. Vampires apparently were a monster that he respected, and he didn't like how other filmmakers treated the vampire.
No, the book that this is based on, called Vampires by John Stakely, ironically. Did you ever read it?
I have not.
It's a good book. I read it because I love this movie. It's very different, but I think John Carpenter wanted to show like how vicious the people who were hunting vampires actually were. And I think he does an amazing job with these anti-heroes in this movie. James Woods, who plays the main character, Jack Crow, is a vampire hunter, and this guy's a fucking asshole in like the best possible way. This is another one of those movies, don't give a shit attitude. We're going out and hunting these monsters, so we have to be monsters ourselves. And that shows throughout the entire film. Oh boy. All right, let's get into it. James Woods and Daniel Baldwin are vampire hunters, and they spy this house, have this whole team working for them, and they say that there's a nest of vampires inside this house, and they all break out their wooden stakes and their giant spears and their crossbows and everything, and they go in and basically clean this house out in a very brutal fashion. Just for a second, let's talk about, like, they have this really great plan where James Woods has a crossbow. It's attached to like a winch on a car, so they'll stick the arrow inside the vampire and yank him out into the sunlight, and the vampire just bursts into flames.
Yes.
How fucking awesome is this opening scene?
It sets a tone for the whole film, and actually the beginning, even before they get to the nest, of the scenery and the truck driving, it gives you this weird feeling going into it. It's almost like Jeepers Creepers. It's just has a vibe in and of itself. And when they get to the boarded up big old house, when James Woods calls it a nest, I don't know why, but I find it quite cool that they call the vampire's hideout a nest. It makes you think that there must be a shit ton of them in there. So great beginning. I'll get into it more. I'm not a Dan Baldwin fan. Bad choice for the film. It's weird because he's got a weird look. He looks weird. The other Baldwins, Alec and what was the one from Biodome? Billy. Yeah, they're okay. They look relatively normal. Billy hams it up a little bit, but there's something about Dan. I don't know what it is. I don't like him. He's not right for this. What did you think? Did you like Dan Baldwin in this?
I do like Dan Baldwin in this. He's a good foil for James Woods. James Woods is like clad in this like leather jacket, jeans, sunglasses. He's just going around like he doesn't have a care in the fucking world. And Daniel Baldwin's kind of like a similar kind of asshole, but at the same time got a little bit of heart, which kind of comes into play a little bit later in the movie. I thought he did a pretty good job with this, considering how I don't know him from anything else. I think he did really well.
I don't know him from anything else either. I'm sure I've seen him in other things. I get him confused with Michael Madsen at times. Daniel Baldwin in this, they just chose the wrong guy. I know he had to be different from James Woods. Something about this pasty, pudgy asshole that I didn't like how he delivered his lines. I loved everything about this film. But Daniel Baldwin. But okay, I'm getting a little ahead of myself.
When they drag the vampires out, you can see the special effects. They're all practical, but they have these like things on their arms and legs where they just like burst into this bright flame. And while you see the special effects, I still think it looks so cool. It's not CGI. Like, these people are really on fire and they're just sort of dragged out. It's this cool montage where you just see these like dead vampire bodies being dragged out of the house and into the sunlight and catching fire. It's just so fucking awesome.
And I liked the fact Baldwin was collecting the skulls of the deceased vampires, and the priest was kind of like put off by it. The vampire hunters have become desensitized to everything. They look at the vampires as just scum of the earth, worth of nothing. Where the priest, I still think, has that whole we're all God's children and even the beast deserves mercy. So I like that.
Yeah.
I liked how it was set up. The thing with this film is, like, I think Carpenter was like, I'm going balls to the wall here, because you go from that scene to them celebrating at that hotel, and that scene, a lot of hookers, a lot of bar people, even some police officers all get together to celebrate the vampires, who were probably giving the neighborhood a shit ton of trouble, have been wiped out. But they forgot about one of them. The master, Valak, who I'm saying right now, played by Thomas Ian Griffith, best vampire ever, shows up, and his presence alone, him walking up to the hotel, is shot well. And he's tall by nature. He's got the black hair. He's got that great look. I don't think it could have been cast better. What did you think of Thomas Ian Griffith as Valak the vampire?
Oh, I thought he was great. He doesn't say a lot and he doesn't do a lot, but he's very imposing, and he's exactly what you would think a vampire would look like. He's got the long black hair, the long black coat. He's huge. He's menacing, and he just like rips apart this vampire killing team like with complete ease.
Yes.
Yeah, he like cuts one guy in half, puts his hand through another guy and chokes someone with it, and he moves so gracefully while he's doing it. So like a really great casting. I never would have thought of Terry Silver from Karate Kid Part 3 as like a menacing bad guy, because he's kind of a smirking jackass in that movie. Great in this.
He has these outstanding. Like this movie, I know you weren't a fan of Excessive Force. I'm a huge fan of Excessive Force, Thomas Ian Griffith action film that he wrote and directed and starred in. There was so much more for him to do, and I'm not sure what he did after this. I heard he went into like Broadway and things of that nature. Here it proves this guy is a movie star. Like you said, he goes in there, he cuts a guy in half, he's killing everybody. There's a hooker that's going to make it with Jack, and she goes into a hotel room to get ready for him. And she walks in, Valak is pasted to the ceiling, kind of like Exorcist 3 style. Wasn't that cool?
Yeah, that was awesome. Like, what a great shot, too. She just walks in, and the reveal of him on the ceiling, kind of silly up there, but I was just like, it's still rule.
It's so awesome. He does something that I appreciate. Every other vampire I know bites the neck. He bit her inner thigh, and then he brought her down to Pleasure Town. If you're going to get bit by a vampire, Eric, wouldn't you want them to bite your inner thigh and take you down to Pleasure Town? That's a yes?
I don't know how to answer that, Geno.
What do you want?
I have no idea what
to...
Sure.
You want some sweaty vampire on your neck? That's because, like, at least if you go to work the next day, you wear pants. They won't see the. But if you went to your job wearing an ascot, people are going to ask questions. Don't you think?
That's the stupidest question I've ever heard in my life.
What? It's the best question. It's exactly the right question to ask. That a vampire is known for seducing people. Now, beyond the seduction, there's Pleasure Town. So yes. And what were you saying just now about wearing an ascot?
I wasn't saying.
Okay, so after he brings
anyway, so
Katrina,
he bites her, and Katrina, who's played by Cheryl Lee, who played Laura Palmer on Twin Peaks.
Beautiful lady.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So after the slaughter, Jack and Montoya, Daniel Baldwin, they take Katrina with them, because you find out that when you're bitten by a vampire, you have a psychic link to that vampire. So they're going to use her as a homing device and hunt him down and murder Valak. When they get away, like what a cool getaway too, because they get in the car and then Valak comes flying onto the back of the truck and he's coming at him, and Montoya shoots him in the face with like a .357 Magnum, and he makes like a weird little crow sound or something. He's like, rah!
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I thought? Strange. I thought in that scene was, I bet you Valak would fuck up the Creeper. He just seemed to be more agile than the Creeper. What do you think? A Valak versus the Creeper, 1-on-1, who wins?
The Creeper. Sorry. Man.
Really?
Yeah. Creeper can't be killed. He can't be killed. Valak can very much be killed. You just gotta wait for daylight.
Yeah, the Creeper could say, hey, let me finish watching my program, then I'll fight you. And his favorite program's Good Morning America. Then before you know it, he's tricked Valak into sitting out in the sun waiting for the fight. It's like, I get your point.
Yeah. Then they steal a car from a guy at a gas station. Do you know who that was?
I do not know. He looks very familiar.
Well, he's not an actor. That is Frank Darabont, who directed Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, snap. You know who I thought he was? I thought he was the stunt double for the father on that show with Michael J. Fox, Family Ties.
Family Ties?
Yeah, doesn't he look like he could be the stunt double for the dad? If the dad went crazy on his...
He looks nothing like Michael Gross at all.
He looks just like Michael Gross.
He looks nothing like Michael Gross.
Look at it this way, right? If, like, the mother got mad because Michael Gross didn't like her folky, shitty music on that fucking guitar, and he's like, hey, stop with that hippie shit, I'm sick of it, put on some Metallica, and then she bashes him over the head with the guitar, Michael Gross is not going to take that shot. He's going to get someone that looks like him, a stunt double, like that guy with the car in Vampires. Am I right?
Whatever takes you down to Pleasure Town, you can do. Say and do whatever you like,
dude. You can use that line anywhere you want. I have no copyright over take him down to Pleasure Town. Use it wherever you want.
That line That line dies here.
Here or in
So-
years?
Here. They split up. Montoya takes Katrina back to a hotel, and Jack goes to deal with the rest of the team who has been slaughtered. So the rule is once someone has been killed by a vampire, you have to go and decapitate them and set them on fire, which another really cool scene is just watching Jack like stake all these dead bodies through the heart and cutting off all the heads and putting them in a sheet and then doing like the most half-assed job of burying them in the desert.
That was crazy. But in the meantime, Baldwin's a pervert. I was kind of offended that he took off all her clothes like that. That guy is a creep, and he looks like a creep. Maybe that's why he got the job.
I don't know why he says he stripped her naked and cleaned her up and saved her life. I don't see what being naked had to do with it other than just like having some more skin in this movie, which I will say watching it as an adult, I'm like, this movie's like incredibly misogynistic, but it's still awesome.
I think what it is you have the group of vampire hunters, and yeah, misogynistic, sure, but I think they've just become so cold. She was just a piece of meat to him at that point. He was going to do what he wanted to do with her because in the end, he was probably going to kill her anyway. A better actor than Baldwin could have really brought that home. Shame on you, Carpenter.
I don't think it was going to go that far. I think that he stripped her naked, but I don't think he like took advantage of her or anything, especially if she's a fucking vampire, man. We find out that Jack Crow is meeting up with Cardinal Alba because all of these vampire hunters are endorsed by the Catholic Church. And they find out that Valak is the original vampire, like the very first vampire. He survived like an exorcism or something like that. And now he is the source of vampirism. And Jack says he's going to go hunt him down. Katrina decides that she doesn't want to be a vampire, and she tries to kill herself. Montoya saves her because they need that psychic link, and she winds up biting him in the arm, and then he just like fucking backhands her. Like,
oh,
Jesus.
yeah.
Wow.
I hated that.
I saw this movie in theaters. It was my first John Carpenter theater experience. And like as a 13-year-old boy, I was like, okay, that's excessive. Like, damn.
He's so unlikable too. My goodness.
All of these, they're all anti-heroes. They're not going to do what you want them to do. And actually, I wrote this down. Characters can get away with being assholes as long as what they're doing is serving a greater good. A character in a story can be a prick. But as long as they're doing ultimately something that's right, it seems a little bit more not acceptable, tolerated, I guess.
Yeah, I see that. Because like when James Woods, when he attacks the priest, the young priest, I'm like, that's kind of an asshole thing. But it needed to be done because he needed the information. I see what you mean. It is the greater good. Killing the vampires, saving the town, all that stuff. We'll have to put up with Baldwin backhanding that poor chick.
Jack Crow gets Adam, who's a very young, idealistic priest, and he goes along with him to keep an eye on him, be their church protector, basically. Jack Crow winds up like kicking the shit out of this guy like several times.
Yeah.
Adam, the priest Adam, calls him out in his language, and then he just hits him with a fucking telephone. Which is like, yeah, it's a terrible thing to do, but when he did it, it was really funny. He's like, language. Bam!
And that priest that actor. I'm not sure who played the priest.
Tim Guinea.
Thank you. So good in this. I loved he's small and that he's feisty, but he's also like sees the good in people. I was rooting for him. Like when he joined the team, I'm like, he's the perfect guy to join the team because he can bring good to the team and he is courageous, but he's inexperienced. And I love the banter between him and Woods. This character is an awesome character and really lands in the film at the right time. I thought bringing him in late was a good idea.
Like you said, these guys have become so desensitized, so disillusioned with the world. This young priest is someone who doesn't have a lot of life experience, and he's still like kind of chipper and idealistic. And he's like, hey, if you want to get confession, I can do that for you. And Jack Crow's like, have you ever fucking seen a vampire, you little shit?
Oh, yeah.
And I love the development of their relationship throughout the movie. There's cute little moments that they have together that I still really like.
Me too. I loved the relationship between the two because I think the priest understood Jack was a good guy, a flawed hero, and Jack looked out for him. Jack, even though Jack beat him up and cut him and all that stuff, Jack looked out for him and wanted him to survive and go on to good things. And we can't say the same for Cardinal Alba.
Oh.
This is nice because we get the two things, right? We get the priest that wants to give his soul to the Lord. That's a nice guy that wants to help people. And then you get Cardinal Alba, who's just this fucking asshole, power mad guy who we later find out, spoiler, is tied in with Valak. He wants immortality. He wants to help Valak find this black cross that will give him the ability to endure the sun. Now that's a scary thing. The creeper right there, if he found out Valak could come out in the sun, oh, the creeper would be fucked, I think.
Okay, yeah, no, I agree with you. So Katrina starts getting visions of Valak, so they're able to track him down. Valak and his other master vampires raid a monastery and slaughter the shit out of everybody.
Oh,
Really cool scene. They track the vampires down to a small town called Santiago, and all of the vampires are holed up in the basement of the jail cell in there. And now it's time for our boys to go slay some vampires.
yes. And it's done so well. Like it is. This film is. It's basically a horror action hybrid. Because every scene there's something more. And this big vampire battle, and they're trying to kill the master before he becomes immortal. All kinds of shit's happening. I love when the young priest is used as bait in the elevator, but he foolishly gets out of the elevator. It's just a great scene. More of what we saw before with the burning vampires, and it all leads to James Woods gets kidnapped, or not kidnapped, but captured by Valak, and we find out that Cardinal Alba is Valak's stooge, more or less.
Yeah.
And they have James Wood crucified. I forget, what were they wanting from him?
Well, actually, first, can I just mention like one really dope scene? One of the vampires like grabs Jack, and Jack grabs a stake, and he's like stabbing the vampire as it's being pulled out into the sun, and he's just like screaming, "Die, you motherfucker!" Like that was so fucking cool.
Yes.
My 13-year-old boy came out again, and I was like, stab him with the stake. So what they wanted from Jack was they needed the blood of a crusader along with this cross of Berzier to complete Valak's original exorcism so Valak can walk in the sun.
Okay. What was my point? Oh, my point. Much like They Live, with Carpenter allowing Piper to be Piper, he allowed James Woods to be James Woods. Because all that sarcasm, all that, hey, Valak, does your dick still work after all these years? That's James Woods. He's like that in every movie. And Carpenter went with the grain, and he got such a great character here. James Woods never fails to impress. Great actor in every movie, and if you let him be his sarcastic self, he shines, especially across from someone serious and someone who's indestructible, 7 feet tall. It was awesome to see James Woods like that. And there was something that I noticed in this film about James Woods is he's pretty thin. Like when he took the jacket off, he was very, very thin. So without all those weapons and those fancy gadgets, Valak would have a field day with him.
It's another thing I liked about him was he's not like what we're so used to now from our action heroes is like big, muscular. It's like Marvel really kind of ruined the image of what heroes are, where like everybody had to be like put on like 50 pounds of muscle and shit like that. And it's like James Woods in this movie, he's really wiry, he's kind of scrappy, and he's just picking up an axe and just chopping off heads and staking vampires, and you totally believe it. And he just seems like he's really very smart. He works out like how to get the vampires in the sun and blah blah blah. So like it's totally believable that he would fuck up all of these vampires just by being kind of scrappy.
Yeah, scrappy's a good word for him. We do get the good priest busting a cap in Cardinal Alba's ass, which I like to see that. And then we get
I was like, as a 13-year-old, I was shocked when the cardinal was killed. I grew up Catholic, and I was just like, oh, you can't kill a cardinal.
Yeah, you got to weed out the bad ones. And granted, I don't agree with that method, but you get a bad one like that, you gotta act accordingly. We get that cool scene where Baldwin shows up and hooks the crucifix to the back of the car with that wire thing and saves Woods before he gets all burnt by the vampire. And then we go into the final stages, the final showdown. Jack Crow against Alec with everything at stake, the big black cross and all the powers. And I thought the ending showdown was pretty epic. What did you think?
Yeah, James Woods is Yeah, like I said, he's very scrappy. They make it very apparent that like he's not gonna win a fist fight with this guy. So he like shoves the black cross through him and beats him with boards, and then finally he outsmarts him and he knocks down a pillar that's holding up the ceiling of this little garage thing, and all the sunlight pours in, and Valak blows the fuck up. It was
Yes,
awesome.
yes. Dude, what a great ending to the vampire. And I loved that scene. I loved how they took him out, kind of like Fright Night style. Great movie. We end with Baldwin admitting that he was bit, and he's now kind of like partnered up with Katrina. They're gonna basically get as far as they can. Jack lets them. Jack shows his kind side where he's like, I'm gonna kill you, but not today. And I kinda liked that scene of they are friends, but this is business. What did you think? What did you think of the final goodbye between those two?
I love James Woods as an actor, and I love how he became softer throughout the film, like
Hmm.
especially towards Adam. This ending didn't seem like, oh, okay, all right, I have this massive change of heart out of nowhere. Like you kind of see him relate to Father Adam, how he cares for Montoya and like what friendships are important to him. Because in the book, Jack Crow is really emotional. He has like panic attacks and emotional breakdowns, and I felt like you don't need to do all that if you can just get like a really good actor who can do subtlety really well.
Yes.
Like I totally bought the end where he's just like, all right, I'm gonna give you 2 days because you were bit 2 days ago and you still saved my ass. Hey, via con Dios, brother. Takes a great actor to really pull that off believably. And I think he did a great job with this, even if his character was really obsessed with dicks in this
Yes.
movie. I love James Woods.
Me too.
What did you think of the end?
Love the ending of the film. Love the showdown with Valak and Crow was awesome. It was satisfying, start to finish. It's a popcorn movie. It's a movie that you can tell that John Carpenter was very serious on. This was a passion project, and he brought it. It was a new take on the vampires. Reminded me a little bit of like Near Dark. You ever see Near Dark? Lance Henriksen, Bill Paxton.
Yeah, I love that movie. I love that movie. Directed by Catherine Bigelow, Bill Paxton. Yeah, it was great. I only saw it like pretty recently. Fantastic movie.
Wouldn't it be cool to like do a crossover where it's James Woods and Henriksen going head to head?
I would watch the shit out of that. Maybe not those specific vampires. Or I might have already asked you this, but do you prefer the monster vampires or do you prefer the romantic, they talk, they understand, that kind of thing?
Until this movie, I preferred more of the monster vampires, the Salem's Lot vampire.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like. But if it's done well, like with Valak here, it's hard to beat. The fact that he is smart, he can communicate, he has an agenda, and he's a badass and he knows it. That's hard to beat. I'm not a big fan of the Universal Monsters Dracula, that sort of approach, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy with either the monster vampires like 30 Days of Night, those guys. I can live with those guys. The
Mm-hmm.
Nosferatu, but also with Valak or the Near Dark vampires, kind of the same vein. I like them both. I could take either one of them. So about equal. How about you?
I really like the demon zombie things. Yeah, I like disposable vampires because I love vampire violence. I love things getting staked through the heart and heads getting chopped off. And sometimes you just don't want to feel two ways about it. You're just like, yeah, fucking kill a vampire.
What did you think of
Great.
the hybrid vampire, the from Fright Night? At one point, he's very charming. Then at another point, he's a monster. What do you think about that guy?
That works as long as it's not every vampire is like that.
Hmm.
I like this movie because Valak is the main vampire. He's seductive. He's emo,
Yeah, he is.
and he's confident. He's like, I'm gonna get this done. One thing I noticed, he actually talks pretty well for having those giant fangs in his mouth, and
He
not a
does.
lot of actors can pull that shit off. It was very good. This is like probably my favorite vampire movie. I think it did very well with it.
To go further into that, overall, what do you think? Where does this rank on Carpenter's list? How highly do you recommend it to the viewer?
I fucking love this movie. I see the problems with it. I know it's misogynistic. I know people can hate the main protagonists. If you just say, oh, okay, I'm like a 13-year-old boy watching this, and I'm just like, yeah, I want to wear leather jackets, and I want to carry around stakes, and I want to kill vampires, and I
Yep.
want to say mean things to people. It's great. If you just sort of just turn your brain off and just enjoy this movie for what it is, I say it ranks pretty high. Maybe it's like the age that I saw it at, and I just like I've loved it ever since then. The vampires are cool. The way they kill the vampires, like yanking them out in the sun, the practical effects are good. Even if you can kind of see the strings involved, they still look amazing. You're never going to be able to beat Pat Boone Jr. or whatever his name is, that guy who was in 30 Days of Night.
Yes,
You know,
yes,
Mark
yes.
Boone Jr., where he gets like cut in half, like from like torso to like neck, and then he just like splits open. I'm like, yes, like that looks awesome.
Yes.
And it's very much like a 90s movie. There's a lot of dissolves and there's weird coloring, but it's so good. I fucking love this movie so much. I wouldn't even call it a guilty pleasure because it's so much fun. And I love James Woods. I love him as an actor. I think he's great. I think he's explosive and surprising. I highly recommend it. I even like Daniel Baldwin in this. His best performance by far.
Yes.
It's a great movie. I would recommend it to everybody, unless you're easily offended by things. And in terms of where it ranks, I recognize that technically it's not like one of his best, but it's probably one of the most fun ones that I love because John Carpenter's like, I don't give a fuck. In such a great way. I don't care who doesn't like this movie. I don't care who likes this movie. This is just what I want to make. And there's something about that because there is a lot of fun on screen.
I agree. And I agree with you that this is a fun film. If I owned a big drive-in movie theater and I had to pick one of his movies to show to a crowd, this would be one of them because it's got so much fun to it, so much action. The kill sequences are amazing in this. The bad guy's awesome. James Woods is awesome. As you said, because it was the only thing I've seen Daniel Baldwin is, it's his best performance.
It's also his worst performance.
It is. Yeah, that too. And I think the growth of James Woods through it that you brought up earlier is a great point because you do have him separating himself from humanity and just being this machine that kills things. But he does soften up, and even before the priest, when he finds Katrina with the bruise on her face, he's upset. Like he
Yeah.
doesn't want to torture or hurt anybody. His humanity's coming back. And by the end, he's back to where he is because not only is it over, but he's killed what he's been looking to kill since he began. The Master, the First. I love this movie. As I said earlier, I'm not impressed with Daniel Baldwin, but small price to pay for this great film. I didn't like how he treated Katrina, Daniel Baldwin. I think another actor could have pulled it off. It just, to me, Baldwin came off as a creep, and I don't like creeps. Maybe it's that pasty skin of his. I don't know. He's got that pasty, sweaty look. He's always sweaty. I don't like. I
He was
don't like.
becoming a vampire.
Well, you ever just hang out with a guy that just sweats all the time, no matter how fucking cold it is in the room? That's Baldwin. They should have got Billy Baldwin, but he was probably too busy shooting Biodome. But they should have got him for this. Whatever the case, highly recommend it. And as far as ranking it in the Carpenter films, somewhere in the middle. But as far as a fun factor goes, somewhere near the top. I'm on board with you, Eric.
There's one tiny little moment that I just want to bring up because it makes me laugh every single time. Right before Father Adam is about to get on the elevator, he waves at the security camera and like
Yes.
and James Woods is just sitting there like, ugh, God, rolling his eyes, and then he just like can't help it, but he waves
The-
back.
Yeah, I love that too.
It's a cute little moment that I die laughing every time because it's so funny to watch and be like, yeah.
Dude,
Okay,
the priest. The priest was so good in this.
Yeah.
My God. What a good contrast to James Woods. And one other thing I want to bring up that I thought was just fucking awesome was the vampire master Valak and his new team coming up from the ground. When they
Yeah.
dug themselves out of the ground, oh fuck, business is about to pick up. This is fucking awesome. Great stuff. I'm so glad we did the Carpenter special. Any final words on Carpenter as we close out this show?
It's so rare to find a director with such a unique perspective and a unique vision who has his own certain style to him. I think it's something we're losing more and more. Actually, well, I would say it's something we lost along the way, but I think with some of these new directors, we're seeing it come back more and more. It's so refreshing to watch these movies and be like, God, this guy was so creative, so talented. I'm honestly just glad his movies exist because it's one of the reasons I love film. And one of the reasons why I love making film is because people are that talented working in the business.
Yes.
I'm so grateful for him as an artist.
Likewise, I'm on the same page with you. I agree with everything you said. That Carpenter, I've compared him to Rod Serling earlier, because they both understand how people tick. They understand the complexities of who we are. When you get characters together, like he's done with the Priest and James Woods, or Keith David and Roddy Piper, or Bishop and Napoleon, he makes believable stuff. These characters are complex. They're not one-trick ponies. They're not caricatures. He just understands, and there's relatability. And if you get relatability with a good story, you can't lose. So John Carpenter, one of the best, and he inspired me as well. Watching Halloween or The Thing, amazing stuff, amazing writing, amazing productions. So yeah, I'm so glad we did this Carpenter episode, Eric, and I would not have wanted to do it with anyone else but you, my friend.
Me neither, buddy, because I know how much you appreciate him, and no doubt in my mind we'll be returning to John Carpenter again.
Awesome. And so now I believe we're ready to announce our next episode called Bringing Them Down to Pound Town, subject to changes, episode 19. Is that what was slated next time?
I mean, that was the one that you suggested. I suggested maybe, I don't know, some romantic comedies.
Six of one, half dozen of another.
You keep your half dozen to yourself, motherfucker.
The next one will be a surprise, I suppose. You can email either one of us.
Surprise to us, too.
Yeah, and as we always do, we bring you to Pound Town. Thank you for everyone for listening. We look forward to next time.
Time to slay some vampires.
Subject to changes, nothing stays the same. Life keeps spinning in this endless game. Grab your worries, throw them to the flame. Stay tuned.